What are the three questions facing the Texas football program heading into spring practice? I'm going to tell you right after the stinger. It's Felix Sharpe at Sharpe Review on Twitter for CampusToCanton.com. If you like this video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel so you never miss any of the content that we're dropping. And if you are a college football fan and you don't know what a Campus to Canton League is, I encourage you to look it up and subscribing to the website, CampusToCanton.com. Let's get into Texas here. All right. You look around the Big 12. The honeymoon is over for Steve Sarkisian. They went 5-7 in 2021, his first season as head coach. Lincoln Riley's gone. Caleb Williams is gone. You got to figure that Dave Aranda at Baylor and Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State are going to have something to say again as the potential Big 12 or competing for the Big 12 championship. So what are the questions facing Texas? Number one is, can they protect the quarterback? That Texas offensive line generated a pass blocking grade according to Pro Football Focus of just 62.2. So that's just below Duke and Temple and just above Arkansas State. They generated a run blocking grade of 72.2, just a notch below Kent State. It's an offensive line group that gave up 26 sacks. And so offensive line coach Kyle Flood has his work to do on that offensive line. It's probably the most inconsistent group when you consider just the offense. Now, the good news is that Texas brings in the number 5 recruiting class in 2022, and that includes seven offensive linemen. So what are we looking at as far as starters for Texas? Well, going into the spring, you have to consider that senior Christian Jones, who finished as the left tackle in 2021, he's going to have that spot at least to start in the spring in 2022. Now, 5-star offensive lineman Kelvin Banks, who's not on campus, he may have something to say about that ultimately, but he won't be on campus until the summer. In fact, of the 7 offensive linemen that Texas brought in this season as freshmen, only Cole Hudson is an early enrollee. At left guard, you're going to have senior offensive lineman Junior Angelau. He was considered the most consistent player along that offensive line in 2021. He'll be starting in 2022. Redshirt sophomore Jake Majors is going to take the center position after he started all 12 games in 2021 as a redshirt freshman. Now, what's interesting is that right guard position and who's going to start there. You have to consider that true freshman Nato Omezulu has to be considered for that spot. But again, he's not there in the spring. So do we see Cole Hudson manning up the starting position? Does he get a head start on Mr. Nato there? And then redshirt sophomore Andre Carrick is going to man the right tackle position. You got to see if that group can improve as a unit so they can protect the Quinn Ewers in 2022. Number 2 question is, can the defense improve? So that Texas defense ranked 100th in total defense in 2021. That's below schools like Ball State, Florida Atlantic, and UNLV. Tied for 98th in team sacks and 62nd in passing yards given up. This is a Texas school that's, the home of Michael Huff, Corey Redding, Earl Thomas. You got to see if they can improve on the defensive end if they're going to compete for the Big 12 championship in 2022. And the number one question, of course, the number one question facing Texas heading into the spring is, how will Quinn Ewers function as the starter? Now, in 2021, Casey Thompson and Hudson Card combined for 29 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 2,700 yards. But we know that Steve Sarkisian wants to push the ball downfield. The offensive line improving is really going to have something to say about that. But you look at the weapons for Texas. Xavier Worthy. They bring in transfer Isaiah Nayor, all 6'3", 210 pounds of him. Hopefully Troy O'Meara could be healthy again. Jaleel Billingsley transfers from Alabama to Texas. He can be an off-the-ball tight end for them and be a weapon in the slot if they choose to use him that way. 5-star Jatavian Sanders, the athlete who could play either offense or defense. He's going to get some playing time this year. And I haven't even mentioned Bijan Robinson, the best running back in the country. They are absolutely loaded. They have matchup problems everywhere at Texas. But let's go to Ewers, who only played 8 games during that 2020-2021 high school football season after he suffered a sports hernia injury and had surgery to repair it. You look at what he did last season, it's not much. He declares early. He goes to Ohio State after training camp is completed. Doesn't do much there. He's the backup to C.J. Stroud, Kyle McCord, and Jack Miller. So this is a guy who hasn't played a lot of football recently, despite being, the consensus number 1 quarterback in the 2021 class. Just hasn't played a lot of football here recently. So Texas's spring game is April 23rd. Their first game of the season, September 3rd, against Louisiana Monroe. Let me know what you think in the comments. What position does Texas need to improve the most in this spring? All right. Talk to you later. Bye, Mom.